Another really important question you have to ask yourself, even before you commit to designing the infographic or building an infographic, is where do you want your infographic to be viewed? Now, in many ways, you may argue, if you're doing this as an assignment, that it's not a priority, but actually, one of the things that we encourage is that good infographics will go out into the public domain. So you have to think a little bit about that, because where they are viewed actually has ramifications on the kind of designs that we use in infographics, and it affects the way in which that they are designed and the way in which they are formatted. And so you have to think about that notion of dissemination, because infographics by definition are very bright and are very powerful in terms of what they actually show the audience, and they are designed to make very, very quick and very, very immediate impacts. So obviously they're ideal for things like social media or posters, or even for whole pages in a magazine or a newspaper. Because the key to an infographic is this notion, as we've put here, it's efficiency of communication. And you're trying to, in many ways, impart your information to those non-specialists. So they're not going to spend a lot of time trying to find the information. They want the information very quickly. And so there are two things to think about here in terms of how you disseminate your information. You need to think about, are you trying to attract people who are kind of attention seeking? So in an attention seeking one, the message needs to be really clear, and primarily is going to rely on using visual aids, visual qualities. So for example, this is an attention seeking infographic. It's attention seeking because visually that is what is pulling you into the infographic. It's those images, so those cartoon characters that you see there of males and females that drags you in. Notice that they stand out, even they're bigger than the title, they're bigger than anything else. That's what pulls you in, they're attention grabbing. The same with this example here. This is an attention grabbing one. Again, same principles, the colours are bold and they stand out much greater than the title does. And so the images are what are pulling you in to the infographic. So that is one way. So if it's about grabbing people's attention, then that is kind of the design that you would seek to use. There are those which we are referring to as kind of accompaniments, the ones that accompany another message. And so they have to have very precise and very concise messages within them. They're in essence a carrier of a message. So they are slightly different. They're not about kind of making it just an impact with very sharp statements. They're actually about conveying a message. So an example might be something like this. Here we've got an infographic which is in relation to physical activity for pregnant women. But notice now there is a lot more information on here. And although it is quite visually striking, you can see in comparison to the other examples, there is much, much more information on this infographic compared to this infographic. So this is providing information in a different means, and that means it probably doesn't lend itself as well to something like a Twitter or a Facebook, because it's not that kind of audience and it's not that kind of domain. Whereas something like this, it's attention grabbing. It will grab people's attention very, very rapidly. So they have different places where they're going to be positioned. And it also means that you have to think about that kind of design feature to start with. Are you trying to grab attention, or are you thinking about something which is more about a message, and maybe the infographic is designed to accompany that message that you are conveying to the wider audience?